oh, this old Black Jack Johnson. Which brings me back to Umar. How you call yourself the King Kong of consciousness and not be conscious enough to realize that King Kong is an allegory for Black Jack Johnson, the heavyweight boxing champ who loved to fuck white women? Did I miss something? Is there something conscious about King Kong? Because we can't divorce the fruit of a thing from the root of a thing. If you think I'm lying, look at how many thoughts call themselves Barbie and don't realize that Barbie was a German cartoon based upon a prostitute. You cannot divorce the fruit of a thing from the root of a thing. So you calling yourself a monkey? You calling yourself an overgrown ape that's on Skull Island? You calling yourself a white woman loving, like, because you hate people who chase snow bunnies, but you modeled yourself after a 10-story ape who was in love with a white woman. The white woman was one to settle that savage beast. Then they turn around and recreate the King Kong cover with LeBron James for the cover of Vogue. And you say nothing.
Look at that picture, y'all, of LeBron. Yeah.
I'm begging you, just put it up in post. Because whew, listen. So I can't tell you how happy I am. I can't tell you how much energy I have. You know, my only limitations now is the fact that I'm old and I don't feel like shit.
And bro, you're not even old, man. That's the crazy part. That's still young.
Nah. You know, I've legally changed my name to reflect my spiritual beliefs.
For real?
Yeah. My new name is Jim Daly because I hit the gym daily. Absolutely.
Hey, so I'm not playing with y'all.
Nah, man, I'm out here.
Hey, come on, y'all. Well, y'all, we are here, man. I'm blessed to be your host, Caleb Smith. As you see, we got Dave Anderson, business bully, in the building.
Yes.
Years later, man, he's here, y'all.
Yes.
Here in Atlanta, bro. We about to have a dope conversation.
Looking forward
Author,
to it.
business coach,
Yes, sir.
Philanthropist,
Yes,
social commentator,
unfortunately,
theologian,
yes, sir.
father, husband,
all that,
many more, man, son, everything, bro. Dave, today's conversation is much needed. It's gonna, which you were used to. We're gonna upset some folks.
That's okay.
But uncomfortable conversations are always needed because that's how we are supposed to grow, especially as a community, right? Yeah. Starting this off, this current space as a business coach,
yes, sir, well
respected, is getting real nasty in entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Of course, you know, we have terms like run the play and doing this, doing that. Hey, Taylor already shaking his head. Hey, you feel me? And I think right now we have traded in our pastors on TBN growing up, or BT when you wake up in the middle of the night in the summer as a kid, and they selling the towels, holy oil, all that, right? And then now it's okay. They got that blue check. They got this. They got motion. How do you feel about this current space of entrepreneurship that we see right now?
The one thing about growing up in the 80s was that even though I was in the hood, I went to what was called an academic plus school. It was a forerunner for charter schools. And they gave you certain types of education that you wouldn't normally get. For example, my music teacher was a woman named Blanche Lyles. Blanche Lyles worked with Marian Anderson. Like, she's a virtuoso. And this woman taught me how to play the piano and how to play the xylophone. Like, you know, I was on my third instrument by the time I was 6. That's not the point. The point was I had a teacher who taught me Latin. Latin, a very, very dead language, but Equus in Kikokurit, quit I get ariga, stat ariga in aru, pop, dig it ariga, which is basically pop goes the weasel. The main phrase that I need you to understand is caveat emptor, let the buyer beware. Negroes are running the play just like televangelists do. Wow. So if you got a problem with Earn Your Leisure or 19 Keys or Brother Ben or myself or anybody, and if you got a problem with me, I'm going to need you to sue me because I haven't been sued yet. I don't get into online beefs. Sue me if I did something. But here's the thing. The rock star entrepreneur lane has gotten so out of hand because y'all want what's sexy, y'all want what's cool, y'all want what's trendy. So you'll go to Invest Fest and get yourself in a situation where you come across that you were there, you were in the place. Like, there was a class at Temple University where I teach called Media and Society. And in that class, they asked a very important question. A woman named Dr. Sherry Thomas, real hippie broad. She would say, why do people go to concerts, Caleb?
Mm. I would assume community. Seeing your favorite artists, yeah, but sometimes you could be in the nosebleeds per se. So I
Right.
would just say just being like in the room, in
They
the
want to be
environment.
in the room so that they can tell everybody else that
I
they
was
were
there.
there
It's the
and they
experience.
weren't.
Yeah, it's the
Right?
experience. Yeah.
So you got 20,000 people at Invest Fest. I got my F's and my
Listen.
anyway. You got 20,000 people there. You got Puffy on the stage with a fake check, like it's the Publishers Clearinghouse. You got all these people who are so excited to get their LLCs, right? It's called LLC, Limited Liability Corporation. It's not called a ULC, an Unlimited Liability Corporation. So you still might have some liability. And when we start to downplay the importance of foundational things like accountants, attorneys, having a website that's functional, being able to communicate with people, how to sell, what it looks like to build a sales team, what your standard operating procedure is. To put that another way, if you go to Chick-fil-A, no matter where you go, it's my pleasure. No matter where you go, it is my pleasure. You could ask for 37 Polynesian sauces and they're going to give them to you and say, my pleasure.
Company
they are not
culture.
going to tell you to leave until they have been done making sure that they have their pleasure at your expense. Do you understand?
Yeah.
We don't do that. The customer is not always right, but they are still the customer. In the business coaching arena, I am not loved because I do this thing called hard work and accountability. I'm going to tell you that your baby is ugly. I'm going to tell you where you need improvements. I am going to tell you that your website looks like something my 8-year-old put together. And that's an insult to my 8-year-old because she's a pretty good web designer. But you are so emotionally attached to everything. And you want somebody, you know, there's people walking around and they shoot these, like you've never seen me do a consultation with somebody at my home and have them give me a stack of money. So that you know that I'm serious. Like, I don't have to do all of that. My work speaks for itself. If there are singers and authors and WWE Hall of Famers who all call me coach, boss, manager, there has to be something to be said about what I'm doing. The other part of that is I want you to take yourself right now, anybody who's in the room who is not on camera, grab your phone real quick. Do me a favor. I want you to go to my Instagram page and look how many of those quote unquote scam likely gurus, internet darlings are following me, but you've never heard them acknowledge me.
Using all your talking points, though, right?
Oh, they love using my talking points because just like white people love to put R&B singers like Sam Smith in the place of a tank, you love my rhythm, but you hate my blues, right? Because you know, see, everybody's Billy Badass until Billy Badass shows up. And when I come in talking about, yeah, that's not going to work long term, or you have to do it this way, or, you know, I think my idea is better. I literally have people pay me $50,000 to fight me about what's going to work when what they had wasn't working in the first place. So because this culture is telling them that entrepreneurship is a microwave, me coming with a crock pot and some old cast iron skillets is not good. I am not here to give you air fryer fried chicken. I don't do that. I'm Kwame Brown, bitch. It's mama's cooking. And mama's cooking take time. But you don't want that because you want it in the microwave because they told you to run the play. Going over here and talk to Chuck because Chuck's got the hook up there and we can go over the Navy Fed. You can run the play. You tell him I said it and also tell him that you make $275,000 but you have nothing to show for that. And then the other part of that is I, as a human being, I make $15,000 a year, actually closer to $14,500. My companies do well. I don't make a whole lot of money. Like I make like residuals from books and things of that nature. So like if you see me with something fancy on like $1,500 sneakers, the company owns these. I don't, because my closet is real plain. My regular closet is Target. It's Walmart. It ain't none of that, you know? So what are we promoting? Are we promoting a lifestyle because you want to sit up here and be like, I spent $2,000 on this just to be like, nigga, you ain't up on this? Or are we teaching people things that are practical? And yeah, you can tell people things that you saw on CNBC last night and then regurgitated on your YouTube channel like you're some kind of bear market, bull market investment expert.
Dave ain't playing with y'all.
Or you can actually realize that it takes work. And if I told you you'd get there in 3 weeks, I'm lying to you. And I don't do that. The thing of it is, it took me subtracted.
Carry the one.
35 years to sit in this seat. 35 years and $375,000 of my own money to get here. Meaning to build these businesses, to write these books, to give these speeches, to grow these businesses, to scale these businesses. And do me a favor, all these damn gurus out here, who they clients?
Client reviews too.
Huh?
Client reviews.
Where they at,
gotta
though?
show those. Yeah.
Where they at, though?
Yeah.
Every time I like, you got people playing on emotions. Like, why are you calling it Black Wall Street? Because you know that's going to pull at black people's heartstrings. Even if you don't know what that is as a black person, something in your DNA does. Something in your mitochondrial DNA knows what that is, and so it resonates, and so you start playing on those heartstrings.
And that trauma, too.
Mm-hmm. So everything you're doing is from, I want to be on, and the hope that this trauma response of, I don't want to work no more for nobody, is keeping these people paid. And then when you say this, then it's, well, you're a hater. See, let me break something down to you. How can I hate on things I don't want? I don't want your attention. I don't need it. I have intention. I don't want your money. It's not enough. What do you have that would benefit me? Because I'm not addicted to the drug that 95% of black people online are addicted to, and that's clout. I don't need your clout. I can walk into any room in any corporation and still be called the one thing that you've been begging to be called. Mr.
Dang.
Sir, I am so happy you are here. I can't figure this out. What problems have they solved? So I'm begging somebody, anybody in this room, tell me what problems they've solved. Other than the problems of parting suckers from their money.
A crackhead has to stay a crackhead. That's how you stay as the dope man.
See, that's the coach's carousel.
Yeah.
So, for example, like when it comes to my digital university, which is a part of all of my coaching programs, no matter which level you're on, if somebody wants to learn about AI, right? Now, if you go back in 2019, I launched something called Bully AI, and all you Negroes told me I was crazy, but now it's the rave because white people told you about it. Ain't nobody want to do some artificial clone of yourself. Who gonna buy that shit? Now look at you Negroes. Now look at you. Because the white man told you it was cool, so now y'all want to be on it.
Wow.
But if you want to learn about AI, we'll create a module for AI. I constantly ask my clients, what is it that you want to learn? Right? Now, and then I'm going to let you ask your next question,
Dave,
bro.
Hey, we chilling. You good. You good.
Now, I tell people, and this is full disclosure, because I'm not perfect. I'm a human being. I have made mistakes. I've gotten things wrong. I'm not sitting here saying that my record is completely stellar, but my record's better than 99% of these individuals. And I will tell you that the last time you saw me, I was wearing a 6X shirt. I had a 72-inch waist. Yeah. I was 561 pounds.
2019?
2019?
I was an intern. Yeah. That was 2019. Yeah.
Trying to figure it out. Now look at you. You got all sexy and whatnot.
Nah,
you know what I mean?
One step at a time,
Listen,
man. It's not easy.
It's not easy, but here's the thing. How do you lose 312 pounds if not for consistency, effort, dedication, and discipline? The answer is you can't. But they're telling people you can build a business without consistency, effort, dedication. You see, like, that's the scam. The scam is you don't want to work for it. They're telling you you don't have to work for it. So P.T. Barnum said there's a sucker born every minute. You looking like a lollipop. Congratulations. You getting licked. You like that because you want to hit a lick anyway. You want to run the play anyway. You want to wear your satin pajamas. You love that. Yeah. And then all I got to do is throw up a nice little dashiki and tell you I'm going to open a Hotep Hogwarts. And for 14 years.
Hotep Hogwarts is crazy.
And for 14 years, all we've seen from this is a trap bando and a whole lot of paint. I'm sorry, as an educator, son of educator, stepson of educator, grandson of educators, nephew of educators, college professor myself, I don't understand how that works. Unless, and again, I've given Umar the benefit of the doubt that maybe he just doesn't have the wherewithal to realize he's in over his head and he doesn't need to do it himself, right? But you say black people don't want to work for free, this, that, and the third, but you paid the white people to put in the HVAC. You paid the white people to do this. You paid the white people to do that because you couldn't find nobody, but you so pro-black. Which is it, homeboy? Right? The other part of that is And in 2010, if I'm lying, I'm dying, he put up a post and said this school was going to be for boys. It's going to open in 2013, and you're going to have to pay tuition to get there. I don't know about you. Did you go to college, Caleb? I believe you did. Yeah. When you went to college, you had to do an exam, right? You had to do like an application. And in that application, it had an application fee, which was non-refundable, whether you got into the college or not.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah,
right? So whether you get into college or not, if people want to have one of these coveted spots in this Derek Zoolander, Chakras, Hotep, Pan-African, Way Speed University of boys who want to learn Hotepism and learn to read and do other good stuff too, then why wouldn't you take some type of application fee? Why wouldn't you take some type of deposit? Whereas though these little boys could actually go ahead. There's a kid outside of here named King Randall.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I love him, bro.
King Randall is number one. He's conservative. They don't like that because you Negroes are so afraid to not vote something other than your interest because y'all love Master Joe. Yeah. But King Randall was probably 5, maybe 6 years old, maybe 7, 8. But somewhere between 5 and 8 when Umar made that initial announcement in 2010. He's that young, huh? This kid is younger than my oldest daughter. My oldest daughter is 24 going on 25. He's got to be 23, 24.
Oh, you serious?
Yeah, he's young.
He was older, man.
No. Probably because he carries himself.
Yeah, and he carries himself
like a man. He's teaching actual skills, and he's going into his own pockets and taking the donations and putting them back in the kids. I hit him up, and he was like, yo, you got books. Send me some. No problem, bro. Right? Oh, listen, I would love to do your show. Do you mind giving me a donut? I wrote that check so quick it make your head swim.
Here in Georgia.
I can see tangible results of what he's done. So what you're telling me is you're a person with at least 5 degrees. You have traveled all over the world. You're the world's greatest, most requested scholar. I have yet to see this list of requested scholars and requested speakers because if you're the only one on the list, of course you're number one. How do you even gauge that? But how is it that a Gen Z snot-nosed kid from rural Georgia.
Yeah, he's not from Atlanta.
Because he's not from Atlanta. Where that girl's at? Not Atlanta.
Yeah, hey, that's what people don't know. Like, Atlanta's just one small part of Georgia,
it's one small part. He's not from Atlanta. He's from rural Georgia. He's from the sticks. He pulled this off on some Tony Stark box of scraps type of situation. But you so educated. You know the system. You know the IEPs and you know the special ed system and you know what the little boys need. But for a decade and a half, you have yet to deliver this school, and everybody just lets you ride off in the sunset because you talk real good, and you're the Prince of Pan-Africanism. I'm sorry, was Malcolm X the Baron of bow ties? Was Marcus Garvey the general of black greatness? Was Martin Luther King the preacher of pacificity? No. Their name was enough. And you don't have that difficult of a name. For example, there are 17 people named Dave Anderson who do what I do. 17. That's the only reason there's a business bully, because of Google. Not because I need a moniker because I'm a rapper. So like, what are we doing? Because we got time to ask Jill Scott if he can clap her cheeks. We got time to try and reform and rehabilitate Sukiana, Suki with the good coochie, and she said, "All I want to do is meet Dr. Umar, and then Dr. Umar can he can teach me some things, this, that, and the third." And then right after you took that picture with Dr. Umar, you were off in the UK talking about you want to get your pussy stretched. I guess that Hotep teaching just didn't stick, huh, Umar? But we're supposed to be about business before the buckshots. How about we spend a little less time on our Instagram worrying about if Christian Keys is doing something with Tyler Perry or what's happening with Taraji or who's doing this, and focus on, I don't know, maybe opening the school you collected allegedly $2 million from. I mean, results. Because if you could give me a date that does not involve a block party, that does not involve telling me that it's coming, because Linus still believes the Great Pumpkin is going to come in the Great Pumpkin Patch, but Charlie Brown is telling him it ain't going to work. I'm trying to understand. Like, how do we let these folks go like it's okay? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't get that. Like, are you looking for representation that bad because you're not able to be conscious at your job because your job is controlled by white people? So you want a brother in a dashiki to sit up there and hotep and wear his hair a certain way because that's a catharsis for you. It's a release of pent-up emotion, and so that's why you support him. And before you say, well, why didn't you donate to the school? I donate all the time. Because just like I vote, I know the vote ain't shit. I know the vote really don't count. I know if every single American sat at home, they would still elect a president because we do not live in a democracy. We live in a constitutional republic. And to the republic for which it stands, you numb nuts. How do you not realize that you've never been in a democracy? The founding fathers told you they never wanted a democracy because in a democracy, the majority rules. If the majority rules, the first thing they're going to do is get their rich, white, elite asses out of position.
All the aristocrats,
How do you think that your democracy is dying when your democracy never got born? You live in a constitutional republic. There's no such thing as democracy.
Yeah.
But, you know, let's not let a little thing like facts get in the way of our feelings here.
Come on, Dave. Hey, we about to cook, bro. So, trauma marketing, right?
Yes, sir.
So, on that point about Black Wall Street, I would get so pissed because I'm like, okay, these people talk about this, right? These same entrepreneurs, but you live in Atlanta and you don't talk about Auburn Avenue, which was happening before that.
Correct.
Had a race massacre, which happened before that.
Yes.
Alonzo Herndon, talking about one of the first black millionaires ever.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about those things, right? Why is it important? Because Dave, hearing you speak, to know about our history, not only just business, because I think that, we could talk about business and money, but if you don't have a black mind, bro, that means absolutely nothing.
Right. So you have black people who are programmed and controlled by white people. And they're put in positions. I'll give you an example. Let's talk about Stormy Wellington for a minute.
Sheesh.
And again, I've never met the young lady. I'm sure she's lovely. I guess. I don't know. What I do know is that she is the white face of a black company that does not have one black person in the position of ownership. You are a glorified employee. And then you run around with your little chain talking about 1,000 families. You need 1,000 families in order to make sure your downline is what it is. And I'm still trying to figure out what happened. Why did they cancel your reality show before it ever aired? What happened there? Why are you so impressed with Grant Cardone, who literally said that he wants permission from one of you Negroes to say the N-word because that would be the stamp. That's the thing he wants.
You were talking about Grant 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, nobody wanted to listen.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to listen. How many lawsuits has Grant had? How many people has Grant screwed over? See, he's already screwed over all the white people he can, so now he's come to the Negroes. And because he knows most Negroes won't pay attention because they love white adjacency more than they love their black dignity, he went and got Steve Harvey and Magic Johnson, and he got Kevin Hart, and he went and got the Earn Your Leisure guys and a bunch of other guys. And I don't know if they know Grant's history, but I do. And I can't sit idly by. Now, keep in mind, I do business with everyone. I am black first. My company culture is black first. Even the white people, even the Asian people work for me, understand them. This is a black-owned company, and I do not apologize for that, right? Any of my subsidiaries are all black-owned companies. You ain't got to like it. It's not black people and fuck everybody else. It is black people first. I'm going to look for the best black people for the job first. And if I can't find anything through all of my networks and resources, then I'll open it up to other people. So if you're a white person in my company, you got there because you were fucking stellar.
You had to earn that one.
You had to earn that shit. And you got to deal with the fact that there are some things, right, that happen in this country because a handful of your brethren choose to be disrespectful and choose to believe they have a certain privilege or some type of power over me. I don't believe in supremacy because ain't no white man supreme over me. Only thing supreme over me is God himself. And last I checked, he was black. Because how did Jesus cross over into Egypt? Because before they started messing with the seas, you do realize that you could walk to Egypt.
Yes, sir. Come on.
So if you could walk to Egypt,
lies.
Right? And everywhere you go in Egypt, show me any hieroglyphs that have white people. I'll wait.
Where the nose is blown off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Napoleon was a big fan of Egyptian strategy, and then when he saw that there was some big, wide Negro nose, Jonathan Majors level white man, Patti LaBelle before the nose surgery. No, just to Miss Patty, but I'm saying Miss Patty had an African nose. Big old soup cooler lips like mine. He was like, oh, vive la France. Poof. Until you understand who you are, you will not understand whose you are, and so what you're doing is an amalgamation of a bastardization of C.J. Walker's dream. Excuse me, Madam C.J. Walker's dream. Because there's no Mary Kay.
That's right.
There's no 5 links.
Multi-level marketing.
There's no pyramids. There's no Avon lady. There is none of that without Madam C.J. Walker's blueprint first. So now you are in bed with this white man who is running TLC, Total Life Changers, and giving everybody this, diarrhea tea and all these products and the NutriBurst, this, that, and the third, and blah, 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 skibbity bop. And you're giving them fractions of what they could make, because I can go to any supplier in any major country in the world and get those same things, because none of that shit's proprietary, and sell it to you. But as opposed to being a business owner and taking 1,000 black women with you, you're taking 1,000 black women into a white economy, and everybody in his company that has any position of power is either white or brown, because they're in different parts of the world where they only talk to brown people. Explain how that works. I can't get with it, but of course you're so happy to be with Grant and Elena and sit there and run the play that you're okay with that. That to me is exploitative. It's kind of like when you become the top Negro on the plantation, when you become the overseer. You happy to get on that horse. You look real good on that horse, huh, Django? So you can whip these other regular niggas and shit. Look at me. Then you go tell them about fitness, but you had like 4 or 5 surgeries. You had 4 or 5 surgeries. Not a surgery to save your life, a surgery so that you could look better in what you think an aesthetic is that they continue to push at you, when you realize the majority of plastic surgeons in this country are not black. So whose agenda are you pushing? And the last thing we need is a bunch of agents putting agency into our people disguised as entrepreneurship and freedom, when really what you're doing is you're a glorified sharecropper. So that's why you play on that trauma of, I want families to stick together, and I want us to be healthy, and I want us to lose weight the right way. Is that with a vacuum? Is that lipo? What is that a tummy tuck? Is that a BBL? What? One of my clients, good friend of mine, Sway the Remix guy, has a song, "These BBLs killing y'all, and your thighs don't match."
Yep.
But then you turn around and then charge people thousands of dollars to come to an event where you serve them fattening foods and barbecue, and then talk about how the plate is low vibrational. The plate that you catered for them to eat. So that is like me dropping, I don't know, diseases into the black community and then selling them the cure and then telling them that they're the reason that the disease is spread. Oh, wait, they did that.
I was going to say, sounds very familiar, huh?
Please, somebody fact check and tell me when I'm telling lies. I just want to, if I'm wrong, I am not above correction. Correct me. When that school opening, correct me. Who owns Total Life Changes? Correct me. How come Stormy Wellington's not on the masthead? I'm not her enemy. I'm advocating for her in a way she won't advocate for herself. You need ownership, boo-boo case, because if you can mobilize these many people and convince them that you're a coach, you need to do it without the white man's hand up your ass, putting you like a chocolate-covered Kermit the Frog. But,
don't be emotional, y'all. You got to take the information.
Yeah, this is passion.
Come on.
Because they'll say, he's being emotional. No,
Nah,
I'm speaking passionately because you Negroes don't understand me when I talk like this. It is the same reason that Charleston White, with one good eye, took off the bow tie and then put on the chains and then put on the ball cap and started talking to y'all like some damn niggas, because that's what y'all respond to. I'm not going to go that low. But what I am going to tell you is that entrepreneurship can be sexy, but it's hard and it's ugly. And if you are not built for this, the best place you need to be is in your cubicle. Stay your bitch ass in your cubicle. Please do not come out here and run with the big dog. Stay your punk ass on the porch. There is no shame in it. There is no dishonor in providing for your family at a 9 to 5. People think I'm anti-job. No,
can't be.
I am anti-job for me. Ask me why, Caleb.
Why is that?
Because I've had a realization. Sid, I done had a realization, boo-boo cakes. Here it is. Everybody who fired me, even if they were wrong for firing me, were right. I'm the problem. You want to know why I'm the problem?
You're too smart.
No, I don't believe that. I'm not on no Kanye shit.
Oh, yeah.
Here's where I am. I see a better way to do things.
Yeah.
I want to do things that better way.
Innovative.
I want to innovate. I want to create. I want to transform. I sold $1 million worth of diet stuff when I worked for Nutrisystem. I was 561 pounds when I worked for Nutrisystem. I did $1 million in sales selling diet stuff, which does work if you follow the plan.
Right.
For a diet company, but was not losing weight myself. That automatically makes me a hypocrite. But the thing of it is, they would come to me and they would say, hey, why don't we do this? And why don't we do that? And I said to them, here's your problem. You have not innovated. in 30 years. Everything looks exactly the same. Well, what are you talking about? We've got Melissa Joan Hart and we've got Marie Osmond. Here's the problem with Melissa Joan Hart. Everybody likes Sabrina the Teenage Witch, but who gives a fuck? Right? She ain't popping right now. No diss to Melissa Joan Hart. Phenomenal body of work. God bless the sister. White sister. Donnie and Marie are the white Janet and Michael Jackson. Or the older Brandy and Ray J. I'm a little bit country. I'm a little bit rock and roll. Came out when I was 2, maybe 3 years old. Right? You know the 2 fattest demographics in these yet to be United States?
Middle America?
No.
Let's say
African Americans.
Yeah.
Just general term. I don't subscribe to it, but general term. I'm black.
Yep.
You know, foundational if you want to be technical. Because, you know, that's the other thing. Oh, he looked funny. Look at his hair. He probably, I'm black. My mama black, my daddy black. Now, black people and Hispanic people, if you want to make sure that this company survives for the next 40, 50 years, get black people. Well, who do you recommend? I gave them 3 names. I said, Nene Leakes, Steve Harvey, Oprah Winfrey. They said, well, Nene Leakes got problems and she used to be a stripper and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, well, you know, John F. Kennedy's father used to be an illegal bootlegger who was moving alcohol up and down the East Coast. Now Kennedys are looked at as royalty. What is your point? Oh, you're only caring about, I get it, because she's black. All right, no problem. You can't say nothing about Steve Harvey. Well, we don't even know how to get Steve Harvey. I do. I called James Thomas, who was Steve Harvey's barber. I know people don't believe Steve Harvey had a barber. He actually did.
Trust me, to be doing what he did.
JT
somebody
took that as Cat Williams said, man unit, and made everybody believe, because his hand is that crispy. There are very few people. I would say Marcus in Atlanta is nice with a hairline, and Ace cuts in Philly. I can't vouch for no other barbers other than James Thomas, Marcus, who does Ghost Brothers on Discovery, and Ace Cuts, who's been cutting my hair for the past 15 years. I called JT. I said, listen, I need Steve for 5 days, 1.2 million. Can you do it? He said, give me 15 minutes. He said, yeah, Steve will do it. I said, bet, I'll get back to you. So I go to them and I say, listen, Steve Harvey. And they was like, yeah, we just don't know. I said, okay, I'm going to give you one that will always work. If you don't want to do Steve Harvey for whatever reason you think his comedy might not necessarily be, appropriate, I will give you somebody that you can't dispute. I will give you somebody who will move units, who will sell this thing. Y'all will be driving Nutrisystem mobiles if y'all do this. Y'all will have Nutrisystem on the moon if you do this. And they said, well, who in the hell could do that? Oprah Winfrey. And they laughed me out the room.
That's crazy.
They told me I was crazy. I said, here's what you're not understanding. And I said, wait. I said, why are you giving me all this pushback? I give you somebody who's relevant like Nene Leakes, because this is 2014, so the Housewives was right? I said, I give you somebody like Steve Harvey. He's a king of comedy. He's got the books, and the women are thinking like men. I said, why are you giving me all this pushback? And one guy said something. He said, we tried black people before. I said, really? He said, oh, you don't know we had Janet Jackson as an endorser. I said, oh, and I laughed for 10 minutes. Then when I picked myself up off the floor, I said, did you ask a black person before you gave Janet 30 million? I said, well, no. I said, here's the thing about Janet. There's 2 Janets. There's Janet Jackson, Washboard Abs, Rhythm Nation, right? And then there's Jan. Jan like a good meal. Jan thick. Jan go up and down. Janet Jackson is the female Luther Vandross, and that is no diss to an icon. I'm just talking about how she fluctuates when she's working versus when she's not working. Biggie, when he was in the studio, he was in the studio. He wasn't Pac. That's why there's not all these lost Biggie records like there's all these lost Pac records, because Pac, all he wanted to do was work. When Jan ain't working, she ain't working. So she gonna eat, right? No diss to Janet Jackson. These are just the ABCs of the situations. That anybody born after 1975 could have told you that. Janet will crash, die, and be done with it and go on about her business. Then she'll blow back up. So you didn't do enough due diligence. And I said, but it's Oprah. She says that somebody has something that she likes and it sells out. Oprah made the fatal mistake of saying, you know what? I don't like beef because I'm afraid of mad cow. And then the beef industry sued Oprah because she crashed it in an afternoon. Wow. Then she needed to find somebody who could fight these cattle ranchers and these beef brokers and these beef barons. And so you know what they did? They went and got themselves a good old bald-headed Texas man named Phil McGraw. You know him as Dr. Phil. He said, okay, people, we need to get real. Oprah, boop, 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 boop. Oprah moves the needle. I don't care how you feel about her, black people. Oprah moves the needle. And they was like, no, it'll never happen. And Oprah wasn't want to damage her brand. She literally bought a truckload in a red wagon in like 1987 and showed everybody the amount of fat that she lost. And she wore tight jeans. And they was like, too sexy. We can't have that. We're going to need you to chunk up a little bit, boo-boo. That's why Oprah never got back to fighting shape.
Being a mammy, basically, right? It's that image.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah.
My whole point was they didn't believe that Oprah's not going to do nothing with diets. 1 year later, Oprah buys Weight Watchers. She bought it. She could have bought Nutrisystem had they just presented, but they didn't want to listen to somebody, and they did not want the face of the company to be black.
Yeah.
That's what happens when we start looking at these situations. And so for me, I know that I can't be a good employee because I'm too much of an innovator. I'm too much of an asshole. I'm too much of a visionary, and I want to do this my way. I want the freedom to do it my way, right? I've turned down 28 job offers since I retired from radio. 28, 3 in Atlanta. Because you're not going to tell me that I can't go see my kid win her karate tournament. You're not going to tell me I can't go to one of my best friend's funeral who died of cancer. Like for me, success is not about a monetary position. Success is about being a man. And my father would say being a man is not letting anybody tell you where you can go or who you can be. And until you can do that, you are not a man. That's my father's definition. My whole thing is I don't want anyone controlling how I move. If it does not bring me joy, I'm not going to do it. I have realized all money ain't good money. If it don't bring me joy, I don't want it. And so I know that it's my fault that I'm a bad employee because I can't conform. I won't yowza boss. I won't be quiet. I won't step and fetch. I'll give you another example. When I was in radio, right before I retired, I was at Clear Channel, which you now know as iHeart. They're welcome, by the way. We had these POPs meetings. Now, POPs is promotions, operations, programming, and sales. And they would come up with these ideas. Now, there are black people, black women in the room. There's black men in the room. And then there's majority white salespeople, programming people, operations and promotions people, and salespeople. And they said, it's March coming up in a month and a half. We're going to do, wait for this, Sid, watch this one. You're going to love this. We're going to do, and if I'm lying, I'm dying. May God strike me down if I'm making this up. We're going to do ass brackets. You might be asking yourself, well, Dave, what the hell is an ass bracket? I'm so glad you asked. If you've heard of March Madness, you know how it's like a tournament style, and it's this team versus this team, and whoever scores the most points moves on in the bracket until it comes down to the final four, then the two, and then the one who becomes the champion. They wanted to do that with black women's asses. Let that sink in for a minute. And I was like, nah, hell nah, fuck nah. Have you lost your mind? What the fuck is wrong with you? And then I'm scanning the room. And I'm looking at sisters and brothers who I know that this is some bullshit, but they can't move because they're afraid to lose their job. They about to lose their job. Get this dance. So I'm standing here on an island by myself telling them this is the worst thing to do. So then the white man says to me, well, since you think it's such a bad idea, why don't you give me a good one then? One that doesn't offend you or disrespect black women. I said, let me put it to you this way. Your P1 listener is a 27-year-old black female. She has at least one child, which means that 9 times out of 10, she's a single mom. And if she's a single mom, the last thing she wants to do is feel exploited when she's already exploited at her job. She's exploited on dates because people don't want to mess with a woman who already has a kid. She is trying to scrap and struggle and get herself up the corporate ladder, all while being a mom, all while doing all these other things. And then she turns on the radio and you're like, send in pictures of your ass. That's a bad idea. You know what is a good idea? If we take this concept, get rid of the brackets, and let people vote and have a sexy single moms contest. You and you go get every spa, go get every jewelry store, go get every car dealership, and let's give them a package that they can do. Oh, don't you have a vacation client? Don't you have a travel agency client? Why don't you hook them up with an all expenses paid vacation? That'll bring you more money. And then they hit me with the R. Kelly. Oh, And that's all I could say was, oh. So, needless to say, that was the last programming, operations, promotions, and sales meeting I was invited to, but they ran with the sexy single moms contest versus the ass brackets. But that's the thing. Black people are so afraid to lose their position, their clout, their status, and their paycheck, which is not a paycheck. It's a bi-weekly insult because that's not what you deserve. That's what you negotiated if you negotiated at all. No one will ever pay your worth more than you. But nobody's ever taught you to demand it either. And nobody's ever told you to get maximum skills. They keep telling you, go raise the minimum wage. Why do you want to make $25 working at McDonald's, numbnuts? How is that beneficial? Then, when you understand that employment is incumbent upon the owners in order to be able to sustain said employment. McDonald's, Burger King, Walmart, Costco, they can all handle a $25 an hour full-time staff. But you know what McDonald's will do and has done very clandestinely? If there are 3 shifts in a 24-hour period, 8 hours each shift, right? That means that there's 5 people each shift on average. So that's 15 people. I'm going to whittle that down to 3 because I only need 1 each shift. 1 for mornings, 1 for afternoons, 1 for evenings and overnights. Then I'm going to replace them with Flippy because Flippy can drop fries. Flippy can flip burgers. Flippy can package that shit. And Flippy automatically comes with a warranty. Now, the shake machine is out because the McDonald's has a contract with this particular company. It's not that they scam you. It's just that they have this deal with this particular company. But you only need 1 human being just to hand the food off in the drive-thru. And then you don't even need them to do that. You just need them to make sure that the machines are running. But who's going to mop? They got a moppy too. They already got room vacs. Oh, but who's going to take... Have you been to a McDonald's lately? It used to be a long table with 4 and 5 different registers. It's this wide.
No register.
Right?
Yeah.
It's kiosks.
Yep.
So you've been replaced by a robot mop, and 2 kiosks, and there's 1 person who is now making $25 an hour. Congratulations, you played yourself. And then the bigger point of that is, you do realize that those jobs are jump jobs. They're jobs for kids to just save up a little money to get a car or go on vacation, or old people to supplement their retirement because Social Security is shit because the government's failed you and you haven't caught on to that yet because you don't demand shit for your vote. You just vote whoever they tell you to vote because they're popular and they do the nay-nay and have hot sauce in their bag. And so your grandparents are suffering even though they paid into the system. The greatest generation and the baby boomers have paid into the system. My mother's 78 years old and she's paid into the system. Thank God she was smart with her investments because my mom was a school teacher. She wasn't nothing fancy. My daddy was a cop. He wasn't nothing fancy. But they understood the importance of investment. Why in the world do you think they continue to do this? Because they can out-innovate you. But you're a small business owner. If you had to pay everybody $25 an hour, how long you lasting?
You're not lasting at all.
Sid, how long you lasting? A week. Yeah. Right. So if it hurts the small business owners, but the big conglomerates and corporations can thrive, who are they fucking with this raise the minimum wage shit? How about, I don't know. How about we focus on maximum skills? Because if we focus on maximum skills, and I'll give this one to Umar, I wholeheartedly agree because I went to a school where they had wood shop, metal shop. You could get a welder certificate. You could become a mechanic. And they had this thing called Job Corps. Everybody used to shit on Job Corps, but everybody who graduated from Job Corps got out with a skill and a certification that they can't take from you. It's people painting bridges. I burn bridges, they paint them. Painting bridges, making $127 an hour. But you want to make $25 an hour for being a sandwich artist at Subway. Make it make sense.
That's heavy. Our vote, Dave. It's crazy, man. Seeing President Biden go to a black family's home and eat cookout and talk about, in so many ways, right? Yeah. Reparations being served in the form of student loan debt forgiveness and not actual tangible solutions. And anytime that you would ask any politician, black, white, whatever, what are you going to do for black people? What is your agenda for black people? They start getting uncomfortable. They start stumbling over their words. They start not making eye contact, things of that sort. Why? 2-part question. Why do you think that makes them so uncomfortable? And then second part, how do we start to actually get something from our vote and not just voting blindly just because we like Joe or Democratic Party and things of that sort?
Okay, so Wow. I want to make sure I take my time with this.
Please.
The first thing is, why are they uncomfortable? Because America's shame is black people, right? If a Mexican crosses the border illegally, you know what they can do to him? You can deport them. If Chinese people come over here illegally under panels of fish boats, and that actually has happened, you can deport them. Where are you going to deport us to?
We're their biggest problem.
That's the problem. We're the shame you got to live with. Ooh, just like a lot of y'all keep y'all pedophile uncles upstairs in the back and just put soul food. You keep your pedophile uncle, slide his plate up under there because you don't want them touching your kids.
Hey,
but he's still family.
Explain that part. Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
So America's shame is the atrocities of slavery.
Wow.
Right? Now, the other part of that is, where do we draw the line? Because there are white descendants of slaves. Right? Because now, over time, this one brother got with this one white woman, and their kid got with another white man, and their kid got with a white. So the blackness, but they could still trace their lineage back to chattel slavery.
Facts.
Right? Or antebellum slavery, whichever slavery you'd like. So that makes things uncomfortable. But I have a solution. Here it is. You can easily take care of slavery by taking it off the table. Now, if you want to give something to the descendants of slaves, give them what I call the Armageddon package. First thing, A1 credit from day one. Doesn't matter what they did, you wipe their credit clean.
That's powerful. Yeah.
One. Number two, you cancel the student loan debt. And let me just stop down on this for a minute. Don't let me lose my point. But I have to stop down on this. People are celebrating Joe Biden for doing less than 10% of the job. If 94 million Americans, regardless of race, socioeconomic status, or sexual orientation, are suffering from debilitating student loan debt, you getting 9.4 million people, 9.4 million people. That's not enough. If 94, like less than 10%, because I know it's more like 95 million people, but it's like 9.4 million got student loans forgiven. You didn't do the job, Joe.
That's right.
You failed at the job. Because I'm sorry, I haven't been a scholar for quite some time, but last I checked, 10% of any test is failing. So
that's beyond failing.
That's abject failure. That's like you need a helmet and a short bus and a teacher that is the same teacher with the same 5 classmates your entire college career.
Short haul.
Right? So there's that. So here's what we do. We also, in Armageddon, the movie Armageddon, when they asked them to risk their lives and get on that asteroid and break it up, they asked them what they wanted. And they said, we don't ever want to pay taxes ever again. So if you get rid of student loan debt for all black people, you get rid of having to pay income tax, because the truth of the matter is our ancestors were taxed enough for us to be a superpower within 20 years from inception. So from 1776 to 1796, we automatically became a superpower because of our production. Right? So now let's talk about everything post-slavery. Let's talk about Jim Crow. Let's talk about grandfather clauses. Let's talk about redlining. Let's talk about commercial redlining, because here's a question for you. How many times have you heard somebody say, oh, ain't no money in the hood?
All the time.
Right.
I don't believe that, though.
Because you have these things called eyes and a fucking brain.
The gas stations, in fact, bodegas.
The gas stations, the bodegas, the Chinese food, the laundry, the nail shops, the black people.
Liquor store.
Black people let Asians into black hair care, and they shut the door by having their own language, their own systems, copy and pasting, and then kicking your asses out after you gave them the game.
Hey, pause real quick. I tell people this. Imagine how crazy that is as a black man. You have a person who doesn't look like you telling you which spin brush that you should be using, which conditioner you should be using. But if the tables were turned, that would be madly offensive.
Right. Because when Indians tell their little girls that they got to cut their hair as a spiritual rite of passage, and then they give that hair to weave and wig makers, because black women by and large hate themselves, whether they choose to acknowledge it or not, because what's wrong with the hair that grew out your head? Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. The sexiest thing I ever saw was Angela Davis's fro. The sexiest thing I ever saw was Pam Grier in any one of Pam Grier's movies except for Jackie Brown. Whereas though she was out there and her fro was out to here and she was thick and she was godly. in her presence. She was a black woman. It wasn't no question about it. It wasn't like, oh, she's like, and no diss to Vanessa Williams, but Vanessa Williams looks very otherly.
Yeah.
She look like she got some in her, right? It's crazy. I don't know what the hell Vanessa Williams, but I know she's black. But there's a distinction there, right? That distinction used to be beautiful. People used to act like Whoopi Goldberg was ugly, not because of her features, but because of her skin tone.
And the white man love her, bro. That's what's crazy.
Whoopi Goldberg was gorgeous, but y'all couldn't see. Y'all clown Venus and Serena because they put beads in their hair and they wasn't permed and gelled and weaved down their back. Like, look how crazy that is. So, the fact that they do what they don't like to talk about is called commercial redlining, where if you and I got the credit, they'd be like, yeah, nah, you can't, nah, there's nothing here for you in this particular area. But I saw this, oh no, that's already been rented, leased, sold.
Yeah.
And then the next thing you know, Mr. Yim has it or Mr. Umbutu has it because Africans in America, sorry, Umar, Africans in America have a different experience than foundational black Americans because Africans who come over here get the immigrant experience and they also get to stay away from niggas talk.
Dave, you're going to make them uncomfortable, but we getting real.
If I'm going to tell it, then I got to tell it all.
For sure.
Tell me when I'm lying. Am I wrong?
For sure.
Am I wrong? How many times have you heard, and when I say this, I have worked and know and am friends with some phenomenal African people. Culturally, they have an issue because their parents have been fed a steady diet of all these niggas are gangbangers and all they do is have baby mamas, and then it's reinforced by what they see on the television, the reality shows, and then shit like Bob Hart's Abishola. Y'all don't want to have that conversation. Y'all ain't watched that show, but that show was #1 on CBS for like 5 years with a white man wifing up an African woman who spent her time talking about how bad African Americans were or black people were. Then you got these people who are playing black icons. Let me correct myself.
Playing as Dr. King.
Black Malcolm. American icons. David Oyelowo is playing Martin Luther King, and he's playing Bass Reeves. Yeah, make it make sense.
Bass Reeves, I was pissed about that day.
I was like, yo,
y'all could have did Jamie. Like, bro, it's so many.
I'm sorry, was Idris Elba Idris is not foundational, right? But he's still like I
see what you're saying though on that part.
Like, you could have found anybody.
Somebody new. You can go with somebody new. You don't have to.
Here's the thing that I respect about white people and their heroes, even if they're fabricated.
Yeah.
They asked Mario Puzo and Richard Donner why they didn't go with Sylvester Stallone or Tom Selleck or Robert Redford when it came to playing Superman. And they said, because if you see Stallone or Selleck or Redford or any of these actors, you're only going to see them. We need you to see Superman. So they got a 24-year-old unknown 6'4" guy named Christopher Reeve who looks like Superman.
Unknown though. You see what I'm saying?
Unknown. He was off the streets. They searched for him. Right? Wow. When they went to get James Bond after Sean Connery said, I'm not going to do this shit anymore. There was a kid named George Lazenby who literally stole a James Bond tuxedo and wasn't scheduled to audition, but bum rushed the show, shot his shot, and he was the next Bond. And they try to say he was the worst Bond. He wasn't. Go back and watch In Her Majesty's Secret Service. He got the job because he looked enough like Connery that if you just blink just the right way, you got him. Why is it that when it comes to Harriet Tubman, we don't get Harriet Tubman. We get Harriet Tubman, Jean Grey, I have superpowers because I got knocked out. And we going this way from a woman who sat up here and said that she don't like black Americans. Yeah. Because she had some teasing in school. Wake up, Negro. We all got teased in school by people who look like us.
You better get
know how many times together, I got teased because I had Coke bottle glasses, or I put ing at the end of my words, or I read Dickens and Tolstoy before 6th grade? Wow. The fuck is you talking about? When I would walk around school and be like, yo, there's this guy named Lerone Bennett who wrote a book called Before the Mayflower that says that black people were here first.
Yes, sir.
Did you know that them Samoans who y'all think are Pacific Islanders are black because they come from a tribe in Ghana? Yep. That we invented surfing, that we circumnavigated the globe. That's why they mix so well with us, because they are us. Go ahead and look. Go ahead and look at Cambodians for a minute and realize how dark they are. Why you think it's so easy for Chinese people to nap up their hair? Why do you think, you know, up until very recently, you didn't even realize that original samurais were black? Y'all don't want to have that conversation. We settle the globe. In your lovely lady's DNA, in every last one of her cells, is something called the mitochondrial Eve gene. That means she could pop out a Jew. She could pop out an Asian man. She could pop out every single human being on the face of the planet. A white woman can't do that. A Jewish woman can't do that. An Asian woman can't do that. There is no other woman on the face of the planet but a black woman that carries a mitochondrial Eve gene. And yet and still, we leave them unprotected because we have convinced them that clout is more important than respect. And Joe Biden and his cronies have convinced the world that you don't need a man in the house. Then the CIA said, hey, Gloria Steinem, go get them women because we want to tax their asses too. Yep. Because I don't know if you know this or not, but in the late 60s, early 70s, black people were married more than any other group in this country. 74% of black people were married. It was unheard of to have a bunch of babies out of wedlock. There was shame in that. My brother's father, because my mother was married before she married my dad. Wow. My brother's father was born to a teenage mother, and she went down south, had the baby, came up, finished school. And when he came of age, they came back. You want to know why? Because black people had shame. We don't have shame. We do not play for our last name, and we do not understand the game. And that in and of itself is the problem. So when we talk about repair, let's repair our minds. And for those of you who say we shouldn't get a check, yes, we should. It's not either or, it's yes then. Yes, we need a check. But you know what else we need? We don't need to pay for college because we know for a fact that 73% of people who graduate from college ain't working in their major. So it's a scam. School is already paid for. So why are you charging? America is the only superpower that has colleges and universities that do not provide more value, but continue to provide more tuition, not based on what the economy is doing. If the economy is thriving, you can afford more. They do it based upon the amount that they can get in federal student loans per child. And they go right up into that edge with about an inch of daylight between the max and the child and then child. So education should be free because most education ain't education to begin with, right? Then you should also take the amount of money you would spend on an education for a child to either, one, start their own business and business incubators with successful entrepreneurs who know what they're doing, not teachers who have never taught anything other than business and never ran a business themselves, but actual entrepreneurs. Or you should pay for their apprenticeship. You should pay for their certifications, whether they want to be a plumber, welder, painter, contractor, electrician, HVAC specialist, any of that. Because when you have maximum skills, you will never go broke. But they keep telling you, and that's why I tell my sisters all the time. I fired a young lady who I taught at Temple University because I had her on a 90-day trial, and she was like, I deserve a 6-figure salary. And I said, for what? And she said, because, well, I've done this and I've done that. And I was like, well, we looked and you copied this from this site and then tried to give it to a client. I can't have that because now you're ruining my reputation. And then you don't have the experience. Well, how can you say that? I have a degree. Baby, I don't know if you know this or not.
So
I got
keyword was experience, right?
I got more degrees than a thermometer. To put it this way, do you have a driver's license, Caleb?
Yes, sir.
Cool. How good of a driver were you when you got your driver's license?
Oh, I was wilding.
Yeah, you sucked.
Yeah, I was wilding.
You was all over bumping shit, riding over the median. I mean, crashing into the daggone jack in the box.
Now, but man,
but at first, because the license gives you the right to drive, and then you learn.
That's right.
A degree says that you know how to learn this thing, but you haven't had the practice yet. You have not had the opportunity yet. The only exception for that,
experience,
right, is doctors and lawyers, because look how long doctors have to spend in residence because you're dealing with people's bodies, lives. But we don't take our lives serious enough in that regard. So also with reparations, we ought to ask for. And I know this is controversial. I might be getting in my Farrakhan Honorable Elijah Muhammad bag.
We got the final call right over there, so you in good company.
But I think there needs to be an area of land that is for us, by us. The other part of that is if you want to repair black people, if you're serious about repairing black people, you fuck ass politicians, then what you would do is immediately remove every single police officer, every single alderman, every single city council person that does not look like the district they operate in, do not represent the people and the culture of the place that they are policing, because there is a cultural frame of reference. They asked Denzel Washington, did you think it was important for a black person to direct fences? Is that a color thing? He said, no, it's not color, it's culture. We understand what it is when that hot comb hits the stove. We know that sizzle. Scorsese could have done a fabulous job with Schindler's List, and Spielberg could have done a great job with Goodfellas, but there's cultural things. If you don't understand the culture, I'll give you an example. In Middle America, a guy goes into a Walmart or a Home Depot, I don't remember which, and it's not important to the story, and he had to go to the bathroom. He had the bubble guts. And he said, yo, hold up, y'all. I gotta go because I'm about to blow this bathroom up.
Yeah, they took it literally.
They called the SWAT team on him.
Wow.
Because they thought it was a domestic terrorist threat. Because nobody understood what blow the bathroom up means. It means that his ass was going to open in such a way that the bombs he dropped from his sphincter was going to light that bathroom up in a way that looked like New Year's Eve in Times Square. That's the difference. We don't have any cultural representation where it counts. We only have tokenism disguised as representation because you continue to sit on your hands. Don't talk to me about who the president is and how much you hate Donald Trump, but you can't tell me who's in charge of your school board. You don't know your ombudsman. You don't know your alderman. You don't know your city council. Hell, most of you don't even know what city council district you live in. Right?
That's crazy.
And then the other part of that is all you do is vote with your thumbs. You vote at the ballot box. I vote with my thumbs. I have opinions online. I'm not above that. I also vote at the ballot box so that I have the right to talk the shit that I'm talking.
I want my sticker though, Dave. That's what they say. I want to go get my sticker.
I'm sorry. Does Boo Boo need a liquor and a lollipop too? Oh, that's today. So cute because you voted today. You can tell everybody hashtag I voted and I'm not getting shit for it. But here's what I really want you to understand. I vote online with my thumbs. I vote in that booth with my lever, and then I vote where it counts with my wallet. I financially back the candidates that look out for my best interest. There was a man named Kenyatta Johnson. Kenyatta Johnson is now the city council president of Philadelphia, right? When I met Kenyatta Johnson, he was a state rep. I was at the radio station and Asian kids were getting beat up, and I met him and another gentleman whose name I believe is Jordan. And what happened with Kenyatta, he said, I'm gonna make a run for city council. I said, dope. And then I never told him, I didn't do nothing, but I would, every time he had a campaign, I would bless his campaign. I donated anonymously, right? But I kept talking to him. I kept in touch with him. I never talked about the financial aspects, right? So what happens when a Negro gets too uppity? They start to create a situation where they try to tear them down. And they said that he and his wife had embezzled, wait for it, $60,000. I don't know if you know this or not. And for some of you, that might be a lot of money, but it's not. And the other part of that is he didn't do it, but they tried to get him. And they had the trial and he beat the case and they retried him anyway. And he beat that case. He's now the city council president. So for 15 years, I have been backing this man, not only with encouragement, but with finances, not only with campaigning for him, but with finances, not only with being there and getting the word out, but with finances. We used to do that. We used to put our money together and send kids to college. We used to put our money together and make sure the roads were paved. We used to put our money together and make sure that our kids had what we needed in schools. And that's another thing. How you pro-black and you're sitting around here letting white people educate you to the point where you're upset that white people are taking black history out of schools. Do me a favor, Caleb. Want to make some money? Name me in your entire schooling, and I'm not counting college, name me the Vietnamese American hero you were taught about in school. Go.
Zero.
Okay.
None.
Name me the Jewish American hero you were taught about in school.
Come on, you already know. We're going for days.
Cool.
Anne Frank. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
We'll just keep
but
going down
she's
the
German.
list. Yeah.
I said American.
Wow.
Because black Americans have this entitlement that we need to learn our history.
I see what you're saying.
So we need to learn our history from people who enslaved us, from people who, and let me correct that because that's not right. We need to learn history from the people who have descended from the people who enslaved our ancestors. How does that make sense? I have yet to see the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan call upon anybody, any rabbi, to come teach the Nation of Islam what it means to be FOI. I ain't seen that.
Yeah.
Why would you let somebody have that much power over your culture and your history? Because all they do, when driving here, you know what I saw? The biggest contradiction in terms I've ever seen in my life. The Martin Luther King Federal Building.
Yeah.
You mean the person who was J. Edgar Hoover's public enemy number one, the reason he said we can't have a black messiah now has his name on a federal building? Because once you're dead, I can control your narrative. He freestyled the dream speech because he was asked to. He had given variations of it, but nobody wants to talk about the letter from Birmingham jail. Nobody wants to talk about the fact that he was talking about all the subsidies and all the incentives that white farmers are getting while black farmers are being ignored. I am the grandson of a peanut farmer. You can't tell me shit. I know what he was talking about because my grandfather lived it. His father lived it. And you know what his father was? A sharecropper. You know what his father was? A slave. So I know the disparities when the government comes around and gives farmers certain subsidies and grants and financial monetary gifts in order to keep this country rolling, but they don't want to give it to people who look like us. You will never get freedom from people who benefit from you staying in the position that you're in. I don't believe we're oppressed. I believe that we are willing participants in our oppression. What's the hottest sneaker in the world?
Mike, you already know,
Jordans.
Yeah.
You like Jordans on a Saturday?
Yeah.
I gotta have you in a... Okay, great. Cool. Who's the biggest movie star?
Right now?
Yeah.
Michael B. Jordan, I guess you could say.
Michael B. Jordan.
People,
there's an argument for The Rock.
Denzel, but you know his time has passed.
Denzel is now he's statesman.
Yeah,
he's now Sidney Poitier.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And so when we look at these things and we start to realize that everything they do what I call the ONAT rule, ONAAT, one nigga at a time. Nate Parker wanted to do The Birth of a Nation. And that movie would have been great if he had just listened to Byron Allen, but he didn't want to listen to Byron Allen. He wanted that Fox Searchlight check. You know what they did? They pulled up a case that he beat and then called him a rapist. Whenever we want to get a certain way, they're like, you're not the Negro. And at any time you get out of line, we'll get rid of you.
Jonathan Majors.
How? You know how in Friday, which is a cultural phenomenon, but when I was a kid, it was a movie that nobody saw in the theaters. We all got it on bootleg. We got it on VHS because DVDs was $2,000. I don't remember that. Okay, so how you get fired on your day off? How you get fired running away from the person you allegedly attacked, who is chasing you for 6 New York City blocks. And if you've never ran one New York City block, it will challenge the best of elite athletes because it's not a normal, that's like 3 regular blocks. He ran. They got tapes and cameras everywhere. They had enough evidence to prosecute her. They did arrest her, but they decided not to prosecute her. You want to know why? Because nobody knows who the fuck a Grace Jabari is, but we know who Jonathan Majors is. Oh, look at this white man. Oh, this old black Jack Johnson. Which brings me back to Umar. How you call yourself the King Kong of consciousness and not be conscious enough to realize that King Kong is an allegory for black Jack Johnson, the heavyweight boxing champ who loved to fuck white women? Did I miss something? Is there something conscious about King Kong? Because we can't divorce the fruit of a thing from the root of a thing. If you think I'm lying, look at how many thoughts call themselves Barbie and don't realize that Barbie was a German cartoon based upon a prostitute. You cannot divorce the fruit of a thing from the root of a thing. I don't care what you do. Do me a favor. My 8-year-old loves Kung Fu Panda. In Kung Fu Panda, there's an allegory. And in that allegory, the Sifu, which is the teacher, says, hey, can you control this peach tree? Yeah, well, you know, I cannot water it, I cannot feed it, I cannot nurture it, I could plant it in bad soil, but you can't make it produce oranges. You cannot divorce the fruit of a thing from the root of a thing. So you calling yourself a monkey? You calling yourself an overgrown ape that's on Skull Island? You calling yourself a white woman loving, like, because you hate people who chase snow bunnies, but you modeled yourself after a 10-story ape who was in love with a white woman. The white woman was one to settle that savage beast. Then they turn around and recreate the King Kong cover with LeBron James for the cover of Vogue. And you say nothing.
Look at that picture, y'all, of LeBron. Yeah.
I'm begging you, just put it up in post. Because why do we not pay attention? Why do we not take care of ourselves? The reason we don't is because we've been programmed to. We want white adjacency, which is the second largest addiction that black people have in America, right behind clout. We want to be right next to the white people. That's why so many people are fighting for those imaginary brass rings Andy Cohen creates called peaches and apples or whatever fruit you have for whatever Real Housewife franchise you have. But for years, it was no black women on Real Housewives outside of Atlanta. And even then, they had to have a white bitch to make sure somebody was watching. Don't be tardy for the Get the fuck out of here. You continue to play yourself. Wow. And they know you continue to play yourself because, do me a favor. Tell me Joe Biden is playing for black America.
Oh, he doesn't have one. And by the way, on the website, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, it was actually taken off.
Yeah, you can go to joebiden.com.
Yeah, and they took it off the website.
They took it off the website.
Right after everybody voted.
Right after everybody voted. And y'all called Ice Cube a coon. Ice Cube who gave you.
Yeah, man, I used to have those arguments, Dave.
How you call somebody who gave you Chris Tucker, who gave you Friday, next Friday, gave you Mike Epps, gave Michael Blackson a platform to be a star, gave you Don D.C. Curry. Like,
Nation of Islam was always with him. Fruit of Islam.
Yeah.
Back then. He didn't care.
Even then, he didn't care.
Yeah.
Do y'all remember that Ice Cube is arguably one of the most dangerous diss rappers on the face of the planet?
On now.
He took out an entire crew that he used to roll with by himself.
And it was supposed to be the hardest of the hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all so hard, but your attitudes ain't that good unless the nigga who was writing the attitudes.
What was his name, Dave? Jerry, what was his last name?
Oh, you're talking about Jerry Heller.
That's who it was.
But the nigga who was writing the lyrics to make y'all niggas with attitude bounced and then shit on y'all because he knew his value. Ice Cube was trying to teach you dumb Negroes that it is better to suffer eating ramen than it is to be up under the thumb and just get trinkets. Ownership is power. Ownership is power. You want to be with them because they continue to put you on. If in fact you've got an opportunity to be seen by millions of people just by clicking a button and uploading a video, what the fuck do I need the TV studio for? Why do I need a record deal when the record companies provided marketing, promotion, and physical production of discs and recorded cassettes? When the last time you bought a CD, Caleb?
Sheesh, man.
Thank you.
Fabulous, probably. That was like Loso's way.
Did it?
Yeah, that was a classic, though. Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I feel you.
You keep getting caught up. A lesson I taught my daughter so that you can understand why reparations won't happen because niggas are asleep. One of the things that I do, and please don't take this out of context because some of you dumb Negroes will like to take something that doesn't mean anything bad and turn it into something ridiculous. See, I know some of you don't understand what it means to be a father, but oh my God, I love being a daddy. I love it. It's the greatest joy of my life. Being a father to daughters means that my example is the one they're going to take when they go to look for a man. It's just how we're wired. My mother is the example I look for when I went to take a wife. You understand? So I take my daughters on dates so they're not impressed with you flying them out. I flew my daughter to Costa Rica, Puerto Rico, all over the world, wherever she wanted. If they was having a class trip, she was on it. And this was before there was a business bully and I was a full-time entrepreneur, when I was still trying to figure my way out. I made it happen. You want to know why? Because you're not going to hold money over my daughter's head as if that's the standard. You're actually going to have some integrity, some respect, some morals, some kindness, some sweetness about you. You're going to be able to do that. So I would take my daughters on very elaborate dates. I would show them what it means. This is a finger bowl. This is a salad fork. This is how you go. And then we would do simple things like go to the movies. And that's where the lessons would come in. I'd tell my oldest daughter, I say, baby, you see what they're doing? And she was like, what, Pops? They standing in line. I said, yeah. I said, but why are they standing in line when I bought my tickets online? We're going to get popcorn, nachos, and mozzarella sticks and be watching the previews while they're still waiting for this pimple-faced kid to print out their tickets. Because they've been conditioned to stand in that line. The same way if you put a bunch of fleas in a jar and they keep hitting the top of the jar, right? You can eventually take the lid off and they won't go any higher than where that lid is because they believe they can't. Or you put a bunch of monkeys in a room with a ladder with some bananas at the top of it. And anytime one of them tries to reach for those bananas, they get hosed down and shocked. After a while, all of the monkeys will stop going up there. And if a new monkey comes in, they will stop them from going up there. Now, once you rotate all the monkeys that weren't there for the original experiment and nobody's been hosed down and shocked, you don't have to hose them down or shock them. You can remove the plumbing. You can remove the shocking apparatus because they have been conditioned to do so. When you understand how a man thinks, you do not have to worry about what they will do. If you condition them to go to the back door and there is no back door, their very nature will create one. But again, y'all love Joe Biden. Joe Biden wrote the crime bill, you dumb clucks. He told y'all straight up and down, and then he leveraged y'all talk about George W. Bush's coalition of the willing to wage war. He got a coalition of the willing full of Negroes called the Congressional Black Caucus. And the Congressional Black Caucus has done absolute jack shit for black people. When you look at their mission statement, it's about fulfilling America's dream for all people and gay people and brown people and everyone and da-da-da-da-da. Not the Asian caucus, not the Hispanic caucus, just the Black caucus. Because we want to be with everybody. Because you know what terrorizes black people and terrorizes black people and terrifies black people and terrifies white people and terrorizes white people? The word black. Because when you say the word black, they get scared. It is the same reason why Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson can play a Greek demigod named Hercules and nobody bats an eye. But the idea of Idris Elba playing James Bond, who is a novel character, sends shivers up their spine, because Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who I'm a huge fan of,
talk about it though,
has racial ambiguity.
Yep.
And we have been indoctrinated with self-hate. And that's why we have these situations. And so y'all let Joe Biden sit up here and say they'll put y'all back in chains. I don't want my kids growing in the racial jungle. I know that poor kids can learn just as well as white kids, as if the majority of poor people in this country aren't white. The man is a card-carrying racist. By the way, there's a man named Robert Byrd who he would refer to as a good man. He eulogized that man, but that man was a Grand Cyclops in the Ku Klux Klan. Stop me when I'm lying. He was mentored. Joe Biden, Joseph R. Biden from Delaware, was mentored by a guy named Strom Thurmond out of North Carolina, who was a card-carrying segregationist, racist, love calling black people niggers, hard ER, while they have the hardy hards at your expenses with that hard ER. And Joe Biden's your friend? Or could it be? Stay with me for a minute. How do I get a nigga in the White House? Oh, I know what I'll do. I'll get myself a blue dog dino. Do you know what a dino is?
No, what's that?
Democrat in name only. I'll get myself a blue dog Reagan Democrat, a racist Democrat, a Democrat that will unify middle America. So if that nigga gets out of line, well, Joe will get up there and clean him up. Don't tell me that Joe Biden has done so much for you when you can't point to anything that exclusively benefits black people, not anecdotal evidence about your one student loan getting forgiven. I'm talking about sweeping changes. And please don't tell me about the anti-lynching bill that got passed. I don't know if you know this or not, but killing people has always been a crime. Name me one person who has been convicted since they launched that bill and put it in the law.
Right.
Name one.
It's performative.
All it is symbols. That's why Nancy Pelosi can sit in the Senate floor and drop and take a knee while wearing a kente cloth. Yeah. And you Negroes say nothing, but they're not the racists. Now, I'm not saying that Donald Trump hasn't fucked up. I'm not a Donald Trump fan, but guess what? He sat down with Ice Cube and Joe Biden wouldn't. Not to mention your vice president, who was so ski-wee, pearls and chucks. I graduated from Howard. Explain to me, because here's the gag. Listen to your corner and watch for the hook. My daughter graduated from Howard, right, with honors. Yeah. Right? My niece is at Howard right now. How is it that Howard students, your alma mater that you care so much about, had to build a tent city because there was rats, there was roaches, there were busted pipes, there was flooding? My daughter couldn't get a door on her closet so that she could protect her chastity. But y'all had time the second white people put in U.S. News and World Report that Howard ranked 89th out of the top 100 schools in America. I'm sorry, in the Olympics, what does 89th place get you? Nothing. Who's the 89th place anything that you respect?
White adjacency, though.
Oh, okay, cool. So they went and got brand new robes for the Howard University Gospel Choir and went, U.S. News and World Report has some new news to report. And then they said, we made it! Screaming. Like they got greens, beans, potatoes, and tomato. They were so grateful to be in U.S. News and World Report. So top cop Kamala, who was responsible for locking up single moms who was just trying to make a living because the kids were late for school for truancy, right? Kamala, who up until she started getting on the national stage, was really big on bigging up her Asian roots. It wasn't until recent that she was talking about being black. But yeah, Dave, she went to Howard. You know how many Asians have gone to Howard? You get good scholarships there.
Yep.
And she's a bino. She's black in name only. What has she done for black people? Because what she said to the griot, or the root. It could have been one or the other. I get them confused.
When they asked about her black agenda.
Quote, well, I'm not going to sit up here and say I want to do something just for black people. No. And she hit that no real hard and real squeaky. And she hasn't. But Umar Johnson loves to talk about staying black and sleeping white. Kamala Harris is a prime example of what Umar is talking about. Because why didn't she marry Montel Williams then? Oh, do we forget that she was Willie Brown's jump off?
Yeah.
Y'all forgot about that though, right? Y'all forgot about that.
You gotta do your Googles,
right?
man.
Even when y'all was coming after Bill Clinton for being a whore, and he said, I'm not the real slick Willie. Look at that young thing Willie Brown's got. Yeah. But you're in bed with Democrats because Democrats know how to play the game. Here's the thing. Do you want anybody to tell you how to sleep with your girl?
Not at all.
Do you want anybody to tell you how to protect your woman?
No.
Do you want anybody to tell you how to school your children?
No.
Do you want anybody to tell you how you should wear, what you should walk, where you should go?
No.
Congratulations, you're not a Democrat, numbnuts. So why are you a Democrat, numbnuts? Black people are the most conservative people in America. They're more conservative than Roman Catholics. You want to know why? Because if black people had preachers fucking little boys, black people would riot. Stop me when I'm going left. Because look how quickly y'all turned on Jakes.
You want to be swallowed.
Have you ever been swallowed up?
Had to mess with her one time.
No, but one time for the one time. But if Joseph Warren Walker III from Mount Zion Baptist Church in Nashville, Tennessee was accused of fucking little boys, y'all would run him out of town. And it wouldn't have been enough Q Sci-Fi to stop him. Not that Bishop Walker would ever do that.
Right.
If Freddie Haynes out of Dallas would be accused of diddling little boys, y'all have ran him out. I'm trying for it to make sense. If Pastor Ricky Rush from Dallas, Texas, what in hell do you want? Was accused of sniffing little girls' hair. Y'all to toss his little ass someplace else. And you know how I know this? Who's the pastor at New Birth?
I knew he was gonna bring that up. Eddie Long. Yeah.
No, after Eddie Long.
Jamal Bryant.
Jamal Bryant. You know they ran him out of Baltimore, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Because he wasn't doing enough in the community, according to the OGs, according to the street dudes, right? One of them confronted him. It's on tape. You can find it.
On CNN, if I'm not mistaken, as well. I think it showed. Or World Star, or something
wherever it was.
It's on the internet.
He was real quiet. He wasn't as boisterous as he is in that pulpit.
Yeah.
Because he was going to catch them hands. They was going to deliver him some rights and some lefts, because he wasn't about that life. So you get one dude
to replace another.
And I'm not saying that Jamal, be clear, I don't have any evidence of Jamal Bryant fucking other little boys, but I do know that Jamal Bryant might have had some things in his personal life with his, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not judging that. Everybody has stepped out. When I said it, let me rephrase it. Everybody has made missteps in their romantic relationships, even if you weren't protecting your woman's heart or your man's heart, whatever the case may be. However, I find it very telling that these preachers are ineffective. So we know that black people are very, very conservative in how we act. You don't want nobody taking your gun from you. I got 3 Donald Trumps in my closet right now. I got 3 45s hot and ready like their daggone Little Caesar. And I'm going to give you that pizza. And you're going to be red as sauce. You come across my threshold. Because I have a Second Amendment that says I want that. Let me explain something to you tree-hugging liberals about gun control. Now, keep in mind, I am neither a Republican or a Democrat. I'm a Mason, not an elk. Gun control only works if people obey the laws. So, if a crime happens, who do you gonna call?
The police.
Yeah, because you ain't calling Ghostbusters.
Right. So
that means, just by and large, generally speaking, the police are a reactionary force. Something has to happen. Do you know the show The First 48? You know what's great about The First 48? They tell you it's gonna take 48 hours. In that 48 hours, if we don't catch the dude, 9 times out of 10, we ain't gonna catch the dude. But you know what's funny that everybody does not pay attention to? The murder has to happen first. There's no such thing as pre-crime. They're not the pre-Avengers. They're the Avengers. Shout to Tony Stark. So, if we understand that the cops are the reactionary force, but the cops have guns, right? If we understand that the bad guys are not going to follow the law, that's why they sell dope. Shout out to Yo Gotti. One of my favorite songs that most people don't know about Yo Gotti is "I'ma sell my dope, can't trust no bitch." I was playing Yo Gotti in 2004 in Nashville, Tennessee, when nobody was trying to play him outside of Memphis. Everybody, the bad guys, have guns. So I'm supposed to leave my safety up to a police force that is rooted, you cannot divorce the fruit of a thing from the root of a thing, is rooted in slave catching.
Yeah.
Is rooted in lack of response times for people based upon their race, gender, socioeconomic background. I'm supposed to leave the fate of my family up to them. Or does it say I have the right to keep and bear arms? It also goes on to say that we can form militias. Why don't we form militias? Because we looking for a hero. We looking for Massa Joe to save us. Right? And then Killer Mike says, well, y'all over here arguing about which master to serve. That's cool. Let's argue about who's in charge of Greenwood Bank and why there's so many white people in the masthead, but we're parading it around like it is a black-owned bank. Yes, because you have black founders does not mean you are black-owned. And even if you are black-owned and you're white operated, from the chief financial officer is a white man. The chief marketing officer is a white man. The chief data officer is a white woman, or maybe the marketing officer is a white woman. But there's 3 white people in 3 key positions there, which means how can you culturally be for black people? Are you trying to tell me in Atlanta you couldn't find a certified public accountant that could run a bank? You couldn't find in Atlanta somebody black and capable of running technology? And you're trying to tell me all these run the play niggas, all these marketers, all these promoters, you couldn't find somebody to handle marketing for Greenwood Bank other than white people? And then on a micro level, what happened to One United Bank? What happened to United Bank of Philadelphia? What about all these other black banks that could have used your name, your celebrity, your Grammy award-winning talent to help bolster them who have existed? Or, and these are just questions, were you trying to run the play so you could open up a couple more barbershops? I don't know. I haven't talked to Mike about it. But I'm asking because what it looks like. If there are white people behind it, it's like finding out a lot of people got upset because Sweet Baby Ray's was white owned.
Yeah.
Or the Popeyes chicken lady don't own Popeyes, right? Or BET, which was founded by Bob Johnson, who was a black man, is run and owned by white people. Yeah. Wild 'N Out's trademark was run and owned by white people because Nick didn't trademark it. I don't know why. I haven't had that conversation with Niall, and I haven't spoken to Nick in 22 years. No beef or nothing. I haven't had a chance to run into him. I love Nick Cannon. I'm wearing a turban, for Christ's sakes. I love Nick, right? But all of these people give you the appearance of blackness with none of the soul. So it's invasion of the body snatchers on a cultural, financial, and marketing level. And you're okay with that. And then you ask me why this keeps happening? Because, God forbid, somebody puts out something. Rand Paul, who is the son of Ron Paul. Y'all don't like nepotism because y'all don't want y'all daddies and y'all mamas to put you on. But Rand Paul is the son of Ron Paul. And Ron Paul was a maverick. That dude was crazy with it. Rand Paul was like, if I get elected, what I'm going to do is create situations where if they build black businesses and if they're not black themselves and they build a business in a black neighborhood, I'm going to give them so many incentives, but they have to hire 90% black people in that neighborhood so that neighborhood can thrive. Because when a neighborhood thrives, they contribute to society. They become contributing citizens. Everything goes up. The value goes up. The property goes up. The money goes up. Then you can tax more people. Y'all ain't want to hear that from Rand Paul because Rand Paul is a Republican.
It was the messenger.
It was the messenger because he's automatically a racist white man. That's funny because Barack Obama endorsed a guy named Arlen Specter, who is from Pennsylvania, who, for as long as I was alive, up until Obama's last term, Arlen Specter was a card-carrying Republican. But he switched parties. Do you know why Arlen Specter switched parties? Because he said, and I quote, "Me switching parties will guarantee a better shot for me being reelected."
Yeah, I knew he was going to say that.
And you know who came out in support for him? The Democratic National Committee, even though Arlen Specter was a Republican for 50 years. And you know who else stumped for Arlen Specter? Barack Hussein Obama. We got to get Arlen Specter back in office. He's a great guy. This dude would have been your opponent. He was in opposition. But they tell you what to do, and you do it. Because it's about blue over red. We got to start looking at what's happening and what we're being fed. Bro, one more thing when it comes with Killer Mike. And again, I'm not attacking Killer Mike, but I have questions. Here's my question. Did you see Trigger Warning on Netflix?
I did.
Killer Mike made one of the best points I ever heard a black man make on anybody's platform. He said, when you look at the Hells Angels, they got gear, they got custom motorcycles, they have all this merchandise. They're an entity. They're a commodity.
Cripicola when he tried to start
Blood Pop and Cripicola, which was made in kitchens that didn't seem to look commercial. You had what did Fat Joe say? B2K Crip walking like that's the shit. Crips are commercialized. The second Snoop was Crip walking at the Super Bowl. Game over, right? You got Insecure having Bloods. You know, yo, what up with that Bouch? You know what I'm saying? So you did the due diligence of going to the OGs and asking permission to put them on the show, but you did not set up the Bloods and the Crips in a financial standpoint where they could have made money off of merch. They could have made money off of marketing. They could have done summits. There were so many things that could have happened, which would have made gang culture for the first time since the Hells Angels and the Guardian Angels be something that would have been meaningful and sustainable for black people. But then you turn around and make Blood Pop and Cripicola as if most black people don't have diabetes, Mike. I'm trying to understand it, bro. And that's not me attacking his weight because I was bigger than Killer Mike at one point. And you know I'm telling the truth. But what I'm saying is, why would you go to soda? Why wouldn't you go to merchandise? Screen print. You can't piss in Atlanta without getting a droplet on a screen printer here. If I'm lying, I'm done. Tell me I'm wrong.
No.
You couldn't have figured out maybe rent out a commercial building and have Club Crip, you know, or the Blood Lounge. You could have done. Then if you want to sell Cripicola, cool. Then it becomes another branch. It becomes yet another revenue stream. It's not the main thing. Where was the merchandising? Where were the marketing experts? Where did that come in? And then the only way black people can learn something is if they're watching porn in order to learn skills. It came across, and maybe I don't think that was intent, but it came across like the only way we can make something happen is if it's unhealthy and we're pandered to and there's not any real effort. And how did you grow up in Atlanta and you didn't know any black-owned hotels here? I find that real hard to believe. But your white partner from Run the Jewels had to tell you. That's like why Will Smith turned down Django and Jamie Foxx got it. Because Will Smith said, Django's not the star of the movie. I'm not a supporting actor. I'm Will Smith. So I'm trying to understand where we're going with this.
Sheesh.
When are we going to start holding ourselves accountable, right? I will give Mike this. When he was there at that Revolt Summit and he was like, let Candace Owens speak, because a lot of what she's saying is what Farrakhan's been telling y'all for years. So it's not what she's saying that bothers you. It's the messenger. Yeah. All right. Because you don't like she married to a white woman, this, that, and the third. And I don't like anything Candace Owens say. I don't like anything that anybody says, including myself. Because there's certain stances I used to take that I no longer take anymore. It's called growth and maturity and my right to evolve and learn. But why are we so in bed with people who have benefited off of doing nothing for us to the point where we vote for them 90% of the time? In 2016, we voted for them 92% of the time. In 2020, we voted for them 90% of the time. In 2022, I think we voted for them 89% of the time. So almost a 90% clip. That's an A, strong B plus, A minus. Yeah. Any way you slice it. Now tell me what Democrats have done. But before you do, I'm not even going to talk about Chicago because that's white people talking points. I'm going to give you some black people talking points because I've been black for 46 years now. I kind of like it. I think I'll stay this way. I'm from Philadelphia. I went to the statistically worst high school in America, ironically called Martin Luther King High School. There were riots there. There were Jamaicans fighting foundational black Americans with machetes. I shit you not. Ask anybody who went to Martin Luther King from 1991 to 1995. They brought in Joe Clark. Yes, lean on me, Joe Clark. Not Morgan Freeman, but the actual Joe Clark from Eastside High. And he said, I can't do nothing with this. They brought in Sam Donaldson from the news to cover it. They brought in Jesse Jackson. Nobody could do anything with King. It was the first school outfitted with standardized metal detectors and handheld metal detectors, right? Couldn't chain the doors, but they had these alarm things now, right? So that prevented all that. I'm trying to understand why you can't walk down the street in Philadelphia without getting shot. Carjacking is back in Philly. Philly is so bad, Chicago's like, damn, we thought we was gangster. Philadelphia, Chicago, Atlanta, DC. You know what they all have in common?
Black leadership, huh?
Democratic mayors, regardless of color.
Yep. Yeah.
Now, let's go to Chicago because this is what white people don't talk about. The Obama White House had a chief of staff by the name of Rahm Emanuel. His brother is Ari Emanuel. If you've ever seen the show Entourage, that's the Ari that they're talking about, right? That's who Ari from Entourage is based off of, Ari Emanuel. His brother, Rahm, left the White House and ran a landslide campaign to be mayor of Chicago. Has Chicago gotten better or worse? Because it went from Rahm Emanuel to Lori Lightfoot to whatever this brother's name is with the weird pointy mohawk trying to look like David Hollister on Ozempic. Chicago has become a shit show, right? When Nashville, Tennessee had that TV show Nashville, Nashville began to thrive because it put a spotlight on Nashville, Tennessee. Now, instead of just a pancake pantry, you got Biscuit Love, and people are on Broadway and on 2nd Street singing for their supper, and it's all cool and everybody's happy and safe and so on and so forth. But it's funny how The Chi, and shout out to Lena Waithe, I think it's phenomenal. I love Hillman Grad, but when The Chi came out, and it's just a coincidence in my opinion, when The Chi came out, it shined a light on the city, and then people started paying attention. And Chicago was so neglected that Jussie Smollett thought he was going to get away with hiring 2 African guys and Make America Great Again hats and say, I'm the gay Tupac. They tried to take me out because the Subway sandwich at 2 o'clock in the morning. You are a superstar on the #1 show on Fox, and you couldn't get anybody to bring you a sandwich? At what point do we call bullshit and realize that one of our biggest problems, Philadelphia, in my entire lifetime, I'm almost 47 years old, has not had a Republican mayor. We just had a thick little light-skinned police commissioner. She's cute as a button if you're into that thing. But nobody felt safe. The mayor, Jim Kenney, said when the Jason Derulo Welcome America concert got shot up, oh, I can't wait until I'm no longer mayor. And the reporter doubled down and said, Mr. Mayor, did you just say you can't wait to no longer be mayor? He was like, yeah. People are dying. I gave up my Center City, which is like the equivalent of Midtown here, Center City apartment because it was too dangerous in the city's epicenter. That's why I'm so excited about this new mayor we got. She's a black female Democrat mayor, and she is cleaning. She ain't been in there a month. And she's wrecking shop. She's signing executive orders. She's holding people accountable. She's dragging people by their nose. And I love every bit of it. At what point do we not realize that until you start voting your interests and until you start making people feel the loss of revenue or the loss of blood, they will not respect you?
That's right.
Our ancestors understood that. Our grandparents understood that. It's our parents that got it messed up because they wanted to sit at a counter and eat bland, non-seasoned food as if all the white people had better seasoning. I'm sorry. Were those raisins in the potato salad worth you getting bit by dogs? Where's the black butcher shop? Anybody?
No.
Oh, okay, cool. Where's the black chiropractor's office? Yeah. See, my grandmother knew all of those places, right? If I did something at school, there was no cell phones in the 80s. I'm going to say that again. There was no cell phones in the 80s. I got in trouble. Somebody called one of my grandmama's neighbors. Somebody from the office of school called one of my grandmama's neighbors. And then Mr. Peaks whooped my ass. Mr. Bussey whipped my ass. Mr. Johnson whipped my ass. My grandmother whipped my ass. Then my grandfather would make me help him build a wall. I don't know what it is about Philadelphia fathers and grandfathers. They make their kids build walls and whatnot. But just like Will Smith, I was building a wall. I will show it to you. And then he whooped my ass. After I changed the oil too, because I had to do that. Like there was a community. That there's commonality in that root word. There's communication in that root word. You know what we do now? I'm minding my business. Them ain't my kids. How can you get repaired when you don't even realize you're broken? How do you get repaired when you don't ask for anything? Even gay people. Understand whether you agree with a conservative perspective or a liberal perspective. The best way to get something done is to have people on both sides of the aisle. It's called a parlay. It's called hedging your bets. Because if you're betting for something and against something and you've got a player in the game, you're going to win something. You might not win it all, but you might beat the spread. Yeah. If black people are voting Democrat 90% of the time, what is a Republican's incentive to hear your to hear your concerns. And what is a Democrat's incentive to hear your concerns? Because they know for a fact you're going to vote for them. If I knew I was going to smash the baddest bitch every single year that I dropped the album, why I need to take her on a date? You see what I'm saying? Why buy the cow if you get the milk for free?
Yeah, it's going to happen. It's inevitable.
It's inevitable. It's fait accompli.
Wow.
But
Dave, listen, brother, man. You bodied this, bro.
I'm sorry.
We've got about 2 minutes left, man.
Sure.
Legacy is so important, right? People always, I would say our people, right? We kind of just sniff at and don't appreciate when people actually pass things down. Opposed to that, people try to brag about getting it out the mud, which I think is very toxic. People aren't doing life insurance policies where you're talking about just making a small payment a month that you can pass down to your family. How do we start being okay with things such as being nepotism, having things of that sort in our community and not being opposed to passing things down and looking out, putting each other on instead of saying I had to get it on my own and I had to grind and things of that sort?
You know whose story I love?
Whose is that?
Damon John. And not because of FUBU.
Yeah.
Not even because of Damon John.
Yeah.
Not even because of the 3 other FUBU guys. I love the Damon John story because of Damon John's mama. Do you know what it is to believe in your child? To really believe in your child to the point where you mortgage your house after it's free and clear because he needs sewing machines. And this kid's walking around bum rushing every single video set, put a t-shirt on the wrapper, take the t-shirt off.
Yeah.
Getting LL on a Gap commercial, which had a multi-million-dollar budget to say for us, by us on the low. And continue to build off of that. That starts with belief. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the definition of nepotism. You want to talk to me about how bad nepotism works? I'll give you the Kardashians. I'll give you the Jenners. I'll give you the Waltons. I will give you the Fargos. I will give you the Bilderbergers. I will give you, gosh, who else can I give you that you would understand?
Kennedys.
I'll give you the Kennedys because Joe Kennedy was a criminal until he became a hero and became an ambassador. See how that works? So don't tell me that nepotism doesn't have its place. Do you think I would have been able to build my business had it not been for the fact that my mother moved to Arizona and gave me her house? And when I couldn't afford to keep up the mortgage payments because I got sick, she paid my mortgage and my mother-in-law bought me groceries. Are you kidding me? Nepotism is everything. Absolutely everything. My father had amassed $1.2 million, and I ain't going to get into what happened, but a lot of times when you're a minor and other people have power of attorney because my parents were divorced, so my mom had no say, and my brother wasn't biologically related to my father, and I'm a minor, I can't do shit. Well, let's just say 1.2 got whittled down to $300. So I got $300 in my father's earn. But you know what my father left in me? The fact that when I was 6 years old, he bought a corner store in the hood. And it had me behind that register. No calculators, just me manually figuring that out. Or me taking a large binder style checkbook and going and filling out catering orders because my uncle had a catering business up top and had a bar at night, which was a speakeasy. It's not what you leave for your kids, it's what you leave in them. Now, if you take the Industrial Revolution off the table, you take slavery off the table, white people have made more money and given instant generational wealth to their kids through whole life insurance policies, but you get the term policy at your job and you think you did something with that. Smarten up, Buttercup. I need you to understand that the only way to get there is to play for your last name. My name is Anderson. My name means something now. It might not mean nothing to you, but I'm the shit on this label. You see what I'm saying? Like, my kid is in a position now where her photography has been featured in the Huffington Post, USA Today, the Philadelphia Daily News. She won a contest on Instagram overseen by Melina Matsoukas, who directed Queen and Slim. Because she called me, she said, "Dad, I'm gonna need a few grand." I said, "For what? I just paid tuition." And it was still a struggle to pay tuition. Understand what I'm saying to you? She said, "I need this because I need this type of computer." I said, "I just bought you a computer." She said, "Yeah, but it doesn't have the power for me to edit the way I need it to edit." I said, "Bet." And you know personally, I got no problem dropping you a computer. Point blank and period. And I never said nothing. I ain't never thrown it in your face. But I'm saying, I ain't got no problem because I believe in the next generation. And so
I was like fresh out of college, man.
Yeah, you was fresh out of college. But you know what I gave you that they didn't give me? A chance. Like, if this what you need, you got it. I didn't ask for nothing. And when I needed y'all to edit, I didn't say do it for me for free, did I? No. So What you think I'm gonna do for my daughter? I went and took out I went to Goldman Sachs. I took out a credit card and I bought the most suicidal hype shit computer I could get her. And she won that shit in 3 weeks, decisively.
You got to believe in your children, man.
How do you not believe in your children? Oh, because mama got to have a life too. Your life is your children. The second you got pregnant, your life stopped. The only reason I flew down here was because I know that there are people who haven't heard my voice yet. And I know that's going to translate into clients and speaking engagements and waking somebody up to the possibility of what entrepreneurship means, what business coaching means, what growth means, what group and collaborative economics actually looks like. And no, I'm not going to be as raunchy as Charleston White, but I do think he's important. No, I'm not trying to be sensationalism personified like Cat Williams, but I do think he's important. And yeah, I know a lot of stuff about a lot of people in Hollywood, and they know I know it. And I ain't never said nothing because you ain't going to say I made it off the fact of being controversial.
Yeah, it's not about that.
I want black people to wake up and realize that the only thing that is really oppressing you is you giving in to what people choose to do to you without any fight. Yes, it's harder when you're black. You damn right it is. So fucking what? Are they sicking hoses on you?
No. Are
they sicking you with dogs on you? 9 times out of 10 that isn't happening. You got a random ass traffic stop and bad shit does happen. But overall, any white people knock down the door with armor and armor piercing round saying you can't do this 3 milli podcast? Nah. So at some point, there are 2 types of people in the world. I'm not talking Elvis people and Beatle people or Tupac and Biggie people. I'm talking about because of people and in spite of people. Right? Because of people, because of the fact that my mother sacrificed so much for me to be here. Right? I honor my mom. My mom needs something. I'm going to find a way to get it for her. You know? It don't always come on time, Mom, but it come. Because I'm the last one to get paid. Now, the other part of that is in spite of people. In spite of the fact that I'm black, everybody, white, black, red, or green, still refers to me as Mr. Anderson. Right? In spite of the fact that I'm black, I employ 300 black people through all of my companies and their subsidiaries. Right? In spite of the fact that I'm black, I don't punch a clock and can't nobody call me boss. Can't nobody tell me that I call them boss. Right? There are people who call me boss. I don't like that. Just call me Dave. You know what I'm saying? I believe that the best thing we can do is stop believing what they're saying about you. And start spending more time in the mirror instead of finding the best angle to take your fucking selfie and the best filter to look like somebody you don't look like, and instead turn up looking like some computer animated version of yourself, like you've been digitized in a version of Wreck-It Ralph. Like, what is wrong with you? Find time to realize who you are and what you have the possibility to create. Everybody don't come from kings and queens, but you come from greatness because of that mitochondrial E gene that popped out every last person in this room. Because 2 people got horny and decided to make love and had you. You have a responsibility to do better than them. My grandfather had a 6th grade education. I am that man's wet dream. Now, I ain't his first wet dream because my Uncle Jimmy played at Woodstock. He helped develop certain technologies and whatnot. Like, there's all of these things in my lineage. My Uncle Ray was allegedly, I wasn't there, but he tells the story. He was in Broadway and a couple other things. My Uncle Ray was supposed to be cast as the brother from another planet, but he got sick and Joe Morton got that gig. So I come from greatness. Even though we were poor, even though my legacy begins in the Richard Allen Projects, Sherman Hemsley's legacy began in the Richard Allen Projects. Bill Cosby, say what you want about Bill Cosby, but Bill Cosby made must-see TV. Bill Cosby gave you Fat Albert. Bill Cosby gave you picture pages. Bill Cosby was such a monster, but y'all ain't give back none of that monster money from all them HBCUs, PWIs, MSIs that Bill Cosby donated to. Y'all ain't give back his monster money, though. So you have to be able to look at what the man's faults are and say, okay, that's a fault, but you can't automatically like disregard the good. It's as fucked up as when Pete Rhodes, who's one of the greatest baseball players of all time, is not in the Baseball Hall of Fame because of gambling.
And now it's legalized.
Now everybody gambles. Look at DraftKings. Shannon Sharp is sponsored by DraftKings. Y'all still not letting Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame. That's what, but because they tell us that this person's a monster. I'm sorry. Are you familiar with Nelly?
Of course. Yes, sir.
Let me in now. Let me in now. Bill Gates, Donald Trump, let me. Wait. Why was Nelly singing about a racist? Young Jock is from Atlanta. Is he from Atlanta? I don't know exactly. He from around here. Yeah. Time to go to work. Make the block bump. Boys in the hood call me Black Donald Trump. Y'all ain't had no problem with Donald Trump. Y'all love Donald Trump in Home Alone too? Y'all love Donald Trump when Nene Leakes said, and I quote, "I just got finished getting a check, a Donald Trump check." Y'all ain't have no issues. When Fox took Arsenio Hall off the air because he had the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan on that show. Fast forward 20 years, Arsenio Hall wins the Celebrity Apprentice. Fast forward 6 months after that, Arsenio Hall show is back on the air. You think that didn't happen without Donald Trump? Is Mike Tyson an idiot? Is Magic Johnson an idiot? All these people, Lil Jon, everybody an idiot because everybody didn't know how racist Donald Trump was. Funny, I think a lot of black people are idiots, about 90% of the electorate, because they don't realize how racist Joe Biden is. And I'm saying that to say is they're all racist. They all got problems. Find the one who's going to benefit you and shut the hell up and put your money where your vote is. If you're not willing to do that, all that jaw jacking about how, well, you know, the lesser of two evils, that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard, because none of you want to choose between AIDS and chlamydia.
Damn. Well, that's a mic drop right there, Dave. I appreciate you, man, greatly. On the way out, where can everybody follow you, keep up with your work, your books? Yeah. Consultations, all that good stuff.
All that good stuff. Well, first I do that. Like, I want y'all to support this podcast.
Appreciate
like,
you.
I done watch this young man grow. I love this kid. I don't get to talk to him every day, but I'm like, I'm flying into Atlanta. Young fella, call me right now.
Yeah.
Like,
I appreciate it.
Like, because what happened was I saw you follow me on TikTok. I was like, oh, shit, Caleb. Let's see what Caleb's doing.
I didn't even know that you had a TikTok. I was like, yo, Dave on TikTok.
I'm on TikTok, but they don't like revolutionary talk about business from black people on TikTok, but they love making y'all a bunch of home shopping network Negroes selling a bunch of shit that you don't need. But I want y'all to support this podcast and independent black media because we need it. And we need to make sure that our young people have a place where they can be unfettered and unfiltered and say absolutely everything they need to say and give people a platform to say what's necessary. Because I don't know if I'm ever going to get to Shannon Sharp. I don't know. And listen.
And you will.
Listen, your lips to God's ears, right? If it's going to be, it's going to be. I don't know if I'm going to see Joe Rogan. But I know that the seeds that I helped plant are blossoming, as evidenced by this. This is some fly shit, bro.
Thank you, brother.
And it's black all over. It's blackity black, and I love this shit.
Thank you.
It's blackity black.
Hey, you'll be back soon. Don't worry. You'll be back
soon. The thing
soon.
that I love is that this platform is giving voice to the voiceless, and I honor you for that. Now, when it comes to me, all social media at The Business Bully, except for Twitter, which is DA Business Bully, or X. I don't know what Elon's calling it this week.
Yeah.
But if you want to get coached by me, if you want to book me for a speaking engagement, you can always hit me on Instagram. Or if you want to get, I just dropped, because the one thing people don't know how to do, especially black people, even though we love buying stuff, we don't know how to sell. So I've taken what I call my 7-figure sales script, because it's made me 7 figures, and I'm giving it away for free. You can go to thebusinessbully.com/without paid ads. You've never seen a Dave Anderson ad. They don't exist. Everything I do is either viral content, word of mouth, referrals. So if I can do it, and I'm a dyslexic kid that got 740 on his SATs, I'm pretty sure y'all can figure it out with a good 7-figure sales script. So go to thebusinessbully.com/without paid ads. And then shoot me a DM on Instagram. Let me know what you think about, even if you hate everything I say, just give me the facts. Just tell me how I'm wrong. Educate me. That's all I want. But again, thank you for having me.
No, man.
I'm so happy I came through, man.
Listen, bro, man. I appreciate you greatly, bro. You already know, man. We're going to stay in touch.
Yes, sir.
Anytime, man, that you back in Atlanta,
yes, sir.
Hit me up, tap in, bro. Always welcome, because, man, I truly enjoyed this conversation. It's needed. Unapologetic, too, because seeing you, right? Like, man, during this time, bro, it's very sick, because people are always trying to massage other people's egos, right? People are always trying to massage certain type of relationships and not say certain things because they're afraid about losing those certain and said relationships. But seeing you stand on your square, standing on business, in the words of the kids, I respect that, man. I truly honor that 10 times over. So it's just the beginning, bro. More is to come. Yes, again, next time when you touch down, hey, we're going to make this happen again. So I appreciate you, man.
No, man, I'm honored to be here. I'm grateful. Sir. Thank you so much for having me.
It was an honor, man. Y'all make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Again, I'm blessed to be your host, Caleb Smith. Until next time, peace.
You're going to get canceled.